It's 2:14 a.m. The garage is pitch black. The only light is the cold blue glow of a smartphone screen reflecting off the steering wheel of a financed $80,000 German SUV. Sitting in the driver's seat is a man. Let's call him Mark. Mark is 42 years old. He wears a tailored suit that commands respect in boardrooms. He lives in a zip code that makes his college friends jealous. He taps the screen. The banking app loads. Available balance, $214. He swipes down to refresh the page. He does it 3 times. As if the digital numbers are just a glitch, as if the bank's server made a mistake. But it isn't a glitch. It's the absolute, terrifying reality of the American dream working exactly as it was designed to. Earlier today, a contractor handed Mark a quote for a roof repair on his 5-bedroom suburban fortress, $8,000. It's a completely standard expense. But right now, sitting in the dark, Mark's chest is tight. His heart is hammering against his ribs. He is a grown man, a highly educated professional, panicking over a roof leak because he doesn't have the cash to fix it. If you look at Mark's financial spreadsheet, the guy is a millionaire. Literally. His net worth is over $1.2 million. He has equity in the house. He has a 401k. He can't touch without massive government penalties. He has stock options vesting in 3 years. He has a diversified portfolio of completely inaccessible, frozen assets. He is a millionaire on paper. But in the physical world, in the world where roofing contractors don't accept fractional shares of index funds, he is broke. Net worth is the most successful psychological operation ever pulled on the middle class. It is a vanity metric, designed by wealth managers to keep your money locked inside their casinos while you suffocate in the real world. You cannot eat equity. You cannot pay a mechanic with unrealized capital gains. Look at the architecture of his life. Every dollar that comes in is already spoken for. The massive mortgage, the property taxes that creep up every single year, the HOA fees, the private school tuition for the kids, because God forbid the neighbors see them at the local public school, the country club membership he never uses but feels obligated to keep. This isn't wealth. This is a high-end logistics operation where he is the unpaid manager. He is working 60 hours a week just to keep the lights on in a museum dedicated to his own ego. Mark isn't an isolated case. He is the blueprint. Entire neighborhoods, entire zip codes are filled with men and women driving luxury cars, living in houses they barely use, who are one medical emergency or one bad bonus season away from absolute ruin. They walk around with a target on their backs, projecting immense wealth to strangers while secretly praying the transmission on their car holds up for another 6 months. They traded their liquid freedom for a heavy, immovable crown. Mark looks at the $214 on his screen again. He realizes he has 2 options. He can pull from a high-interest credit card, or he can take a predatory personal loan. The millionaire is about to borrow money at 24% interest just to keep the rain out of his living room. But the crazy part isn't that he ran out of cash. The crazy part is the invisible industry that convinced him this financial paralysis was the ultimate definition of success. And once you see how they engineered this trap, you can never unsee it. The system doesn't want you broke. That's a rookie misconception. If you're broke, they can't extract anything from you. The system wants you rich on a spreadsheet, but completely paralyzed in reality. Look at the architects of this paralysis, the wealth managers with the Patek Philippe watches, the real estate brokers smiling on highway billboards. They sell you the concept of building equity like it's a sacred religion. They tell you to max out your retirement accounts, lock up your capital in residential real estate, and trust the long-term process. What they don't tell you is that every dollar you freeze in an illiquid asset is a chain around your ankle. You are funding the construction of a massive, beautiful prison and handing them the keys. You look at your portfolio and feel a temporary dopamine hit. $1 million, but you can't touch it. The penalty to withdraw your own retirement money before you are old, gray, and tired is a financial execution. The real estate broker made his 6% commission years ago, but you're still paying the property taxes, the maintenance, the silent bleed of the suburbs. True poverty isn't the absence of money. True poverty is the absence of options. When your entire net worth is trapped behind glass that you aren't legally allowed to break, you aren't wealthy. You are just a high net worth hostage. Let's talk about the burn rate. This is where the panic sets in. Mark makes $250,000 a year. That sounds like leverage. That sounds like freedom. But his lifestyle demands $18,000 every single month just to maintain the illusion. The mortgage on the McMansion, the 2 financed SUVs, the private schools, the country club dues. Every 30 days, the clock resets. He has to hunt and kill 18 grand just to stay at zero. This is the ultimate evolution of the cage. The wealth management industry engineered a sophisticated, high-yield mousetrap. You chase the bait of compound equity, and the door slams shut on your daily cash flow. You become the highest-paid lab rat in the corporate maze, terrified to step off the wheel because the wheel is powering the lights in your giant, empty house. If Mark's boss yells at him tomorrow, Mark has to take it. He has to swallow his pride, force a smile, and nod. Because if he loses that primary paycheck, the spreadsheet million doesn't save him. The bank doesn't accept a screenshot of his investment portfolio to pause the mortgage. He is a millionaire who is completely terrified of his middle management boss. The insomnia doesn't come from being poor. The insomnia comes from the massive gap between what you project to the world and what you actually have access to in a crisis. It's the silent, grinding terror of walking on a frozen lake of liabilities, pretending you don't hear the ice cracking under your Italian leather shoes. They traded their autonomy for a high credit score. They traded their youth for a portfolio they can only enjoy when their knees hurt and their energy is gone. And the entire machinery of the modern economy relies on them never waking up to the mathematical slaughter happening right under their noses. Phase 2. The concrete straitjacket. Let's look at the brutal mathematics of the liquidity trap. We have been brainwashed to measure our financial safety by a single imaginary number, net worth. But let's do the math. The financial advisors intentionally leave out of their glossy brochures. Let's introduce a new player to the board. We'll call him David. David doesn't drive a financed German SUV. He drives an 8-year-old Honda. He doesn't live in a 5-bedroom suburban fortress. He rents a modest 2-bedroom apartment. If you look at David's spreadsheet, his net worth isn't $1.2 million. It is exactly $30,000. But here is the critical difference. Every single penny of David's $30,000 is sitting in a liquid checking account. It is cold, hard cash. Now let's trigger the exact same financial shock for both men. The $8,000 roof leak hits Mark. An $8,000 medical bill hits David. Mark has $1 million in assets, but $0 in cash flow. He puts the repair on a premium credit card at 24% interest. Because Mark is suffocating under his $18,000 monthly lifestyle burn rate, he can only afford to make the minimum payments. This is where reverse compound interest devours the upper middle class. That 8 grand roof is now compounding against him. Over 4 years of scraping by to clear the balance, he ends up paying over $13,000 to the bank. He just lost $5,000 of his finite life energy to the banking system, simply because his wealth is locked in a concrete straitjacket. David gets his $8,000 bill. He opens his phone. He makes a single transfer. 3 minutes later, the bill is paid in full. He has $22,000 left. His blood pressure never spiked. He didn't lose a single night of sleep. He didn't have to ask a corporate bank for permission to survive. This is exactly why $30,000 in cash feels infinitely better than $1 million on paper. True financial leverage has nothing to do with the total value of what you own. It is measured entirely by your ability to absorb a crisis without asking the system for permission. Society worships the man with the massive portfolio, but the man with the massive portfolio is the one sweating through his sheets at 3 a.m. Paper wealth is a vanity mirror. Liquid cash is a loaded weapon. When the emergency hits, you can't throw a piece of your home equity at the hospital. You can't slice off a fraction of your retirement account to fix a blown transmission without the government taking a massive penalty bite out of your flesh. You are rich in the future, but you are functionally bankrupt today. The banking system designed this specific mousetrap for the educated class. They use compound equity as the bait to get you to lock up your life savings. And once your capital is trapped deep inside the maze, they feast on your daily emergencies through high-interest consumer debt. They hold your $1 million hostage and then charge you 24% to borrow your own survival money. It is a perfectly engineered extraction machine. If you don't wake up to this mathematical slaughter, your destiny is already written. You are bleeding out from 1,000 tiny cuts. You will work until your heart gives out, maintaining a fake empire that was designed to squeeze every drop of time out of you. Phase 3, the liquidity hemorrhage. You cannot buy your way out of the liquidity trap with more assets. The only way to break the lock on this specific cage is to fundamentally change what you consider to be a reward. Right now, your brain is wired to view a locked-up $1 million net worth as the cheese. But the cheese is toxic. It requires you to sprint on a high-speed wheel of monthly overhead just to keep from starving. If you want to step out of the maze, you have to embrace a concept that absolutely terrifies the upper middle class. You have to learn to find deep physical pleasure in social irrelevance. Society trains you to crave the nod of approval from the valet when you hand over the keys to a depreciating liability. The wealth management industry trains you to feel superior because your frozen portfolio balance has 2 commas. But true leverage, true untouchable autonomy, is completely invisible. It is called stealth wealth. It's the realization that flexing is just a tax you pay to people who don't care about you. The moment you stop paying the vanity tax, your cash flow skyrockets. And when your cash flow skyrockets, you start hoarding the only currency that actually buys back your time: liquidity. Now let me paint a different picture for you. Not a dark garage, not a panic attack over a roofing bill. Imagine sitting in a completely empty, generic diner on a Tuesday morning at 10:30. You are drinking a $2 black coffee. You are wearing a plain black t-shirt and a watch that costs less than $50. The people driving past the window in their leased luxury sedans probably look at you and think you're unemployed. They think you are losing the game. But they don't know you have 3 years of living expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account, fully liquid, ready to be deployed in seconds. They don't know your overhead is so aggressively low that you could walk away from your primary income source today and your lifestyle wouldn't change for a decade. You aren't sitting in that diner because you have nowhere to go. You are sitting there because you don't have to be anywhere else. You possess the ultimate financial weapon. You have the ability to say no. That is what 30 grand in a checking account buys you. It buys you the oxygen to breathe while the millionaires on paper are suffocating under their own concrete empires. Phase 4. The oxygen account. The machine hates liquidity. Banks cannot easily leverage your cash if you are ready to pull it out at a moment's notice to protect yourself. That's why they push you into 30-year mortgages and penalty-locked retirement accounts. They need you immobile. To beat them, you have to do the exact opposite of what the financial advisors suggest. Stop locking your survival money in vaults you can't access. Build an impenetrable wall of liquid cash first. I'm not talking about a rainy day fund. I'm talking about a fuck you fund. A pile of capital so accessible that no boss, no contractor, and no economic downturn can force you to panic. This requires you to become a ghost in the consumer environment. You must become the guy at the barbecue who never upgrades his phone, the guy who drives a car so boring it practically blends into the asphalt. Let your neighbors win the neighborhood status war. Let them finance their own anxiety. You are playing a completely different sport. You are building an empire of optionality in the dark. When you have massive liquidity, the world changes texture. Minor catastrophes become minor inconveniences. A broken transmission isn't a crisis. It's just a Tuesday. You stop reacting to the environment, and you start dictating the terms of your own reality. You stop being a high-net-worth lab rat, and you become the guy holding the keys to the laboratory. Phase 5. The Ghost Protocol. The exit isn't glamorous. It's quiet. It's boring. And it is incredibly lonely. When you step off the treadmill of paper wealth and start hoarding liquid freedom, your peers won't understand you. They will think you lost your ambition. Let them think whatever they want while they sweat through another performance review. If you made it to the end of this analysis, you are already seeing the cracks in the spreadsheet. Drop a comment saying, "Liquid Ghost." The paper millionaires scrolling past will have no idea what it means. They are too busy calculating the minimum payment on their next credit card bill. But we'll know you woke up. My name is Daniel Rath, and I'll see you outside the maze.